September 23rd, 2019. Thanks everybody for showing up today. Joe here at Simple Life Show. Chelsae Handler, we all know her, we all love her. She is back in the news again. Of course, she has her Netflix special, Hello Privilege, It's Me, Chelsae. If you haven't had a chance to watch this, I actually would recommend go ahead and taking a look at it. I think it's always really important to keep an eye on what's really going on and what kind of information and what kind of message is actually being put out there to the public about race relations. Now, I've been doing a lot of spots on white privilege, and obviously the YouTube algorithms are probably going to, probably run around with their hair on fire because they're probably going to think that, I'm something that I'm not. My main contention with this is that white privilege and all this kind of stuff is in the news every single day. Race relations is in the news every single day. We are being inundated on a daily, almost by minute basis, no matter what. All you have to do is just Google it. There'll be something new every single minute about either race relations, white privilege, white supremacy, or something like that is going on. And it seems like every time that we are inundated with any type of idea, it doesn't really matter. As long as you keep pushing it out there, people will eat it up, and that will form their opinion, because the majority, and I'm sorry to say this, the majority of people out there have lost the ability to use their minds and use their brains for anything other than looking at memes or watching reality TV show. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, Chelsae is back in the news, of course, that she has a new Netflix show, documentary. Of course, she has a lot of documentaries that she's putting on there. She's made a lot of money off Netflix. She's made a lot of money in her career, and maybe she feels bad about it. Boo-hoo, I really don't care. I don't think really anybody cares. And of course, this really did come off, in a great deal with a lot of people that she was talking to. A lot of them were not happy that she was doing this. They felt insulted, and I felt insulted just watching it. But we'll get into that in just a second. The first thing I really want to talk about here is that previous episode I talked about University of North Carolina. They had a white privilege expo, and that wasn't really an expo. It was some sort of class or workshop, and no one really showed up. 9 people showed up, only 2 of which were there for extra credit. So that's not the only time that there has been, some sort of semi-documentary, semi-thing that was going around asking students about race relations. This happened a year ago here at the same campus, UNC, and I just cut off a few types of little clips here just to let you know kind of what the people were talking about.
Like, those standards are higher for Chinese people than like regular. Oh my God, I just said regular. That's like a great example of how, like, white is the default.
Whiteness is normalized.
Yeah.
Police officers, I tend to act a certain way and carry myself in a certain way just because of recent things that have been happening. I don't want to give them a reason to talk to me or kind of question me, so I always kind of just make sure I'm doing the right thing when I'm doing.
A higher standard as far as athletics goes.
I also get held to a higher standard because there's a certain expectation of care from people of color by white subjects.
Yeah, I definitely think that people of color are held to a different standard. I think it's like whether like the way we dress or like the way we speak. I think even if it's just with like hoop earrings, if a white girl wears hoops, I think it's like perceived to be very like high fashion, whereas if like a black person wears hoops, even though it's like more like
I can
culturally
already think of, memes on Facebook that people will share where it's like, it's not about.
So, yeah, that was just a little bit of a sample of some of the questions that were being asked of UNC students. Now, this happened about a year ago, I believe. It was just kind of surprising. I watched the entire video. It was about 30 minutes long. One thing I did notice that it was just primarily those students. There was maybe 1 or 2 white students. They really didn't focus on them as much. They were too busy feeling bad for themselves and feeling bad for who they were. I mean, this is the type of regressive type, anti-progressive type of mentality that's going on. We are actually going backwards. We are going backwards where the content of our character no longer matters, and we all know this. we can all see the writing on the wall, and it's like it's getting out of hand, and a lot of people are subscribing to the idea that they should belong to a certain group because of the color of their skin. I mean, that's nothing more regressive than that. I think that we really need to focus on, as a people, as human beings, on being better to each other, being more decent to each other, being, and also being a decent human being and coming up with really good ideas. This is something that, I think that escapes a lot of the people out there because they are so enamored and so they are really just overwhelmed by the message of division that is going on. And of course, the division, they are blaming all of this division on Trump. They are blaming it all on our president when, at the same time, that's all you hear in the media. They are trying to convince everyone that we should all be in our little separate groups, but then they're blaming it on Trump. I just don't understand where that logic is. But I digress. Chelsae was on CNN. I did watch that as well. I took a few of the interesting clips from that as well, and we'll listen to that now.
And I'm really eager to have a conversation about what it is I can know more about, and to illuminate to people who are not of color what it means to be of color in this country.
Feel free to edit this out, but because I'm really embarrassed to be here with you, because this is just another example of white privilege, using your white privilege, and what are you going to do with it other than come into this space and take?
I mean, yes, people have tough lives. It's not that every person who's white just gets this, a unicorn on their driveway and then sails off to wherever they feel like going in their life, to a college, and have this lovely life, this cush life. No, that's not the case. But if a black person and a white person run out of a grocery store and a white person stole something, the probability is that they're going to go after the black person.
Poignant story in the documentary about your own life and your boyfriend.
Tyshawn.
He got mixed up with drugs. You would be stopped by police. You would have the drugs. He would take the collar.
He got arrested 3 times. I was let go by the police all 3 times. We were together. And then through that, he was put in the system, and then he was not able to get out of it. Yes, he made poor choices. And I thought, well, it made me think about all the things that I've done with my career that haven't been that thoughtful, that I've just kind of cashed checks and taken opportunities because they were available to me, and never really thinking, how did I get where I am? What is responsible for that? Does my color of skin have to play a part? And it absolutely does. The inability for white people to admit to white privilege, because what I think I've discovered, I think I read a line somewhere that said equality to those who've had it feels like a loss. Yeah, but he's a perfect example of white privilege. Let's keep other people down so we keep winning, so I can keep filling my own pockets. At a certain point, if you really want equality, you have to be okay with other people succeeding.
So, yeah, I mean, that's Chelsae Handler being Chelsae Handler, and she's been in the news lately. She's really pushing this whole thing. I don't really know her that well. I don't really watch her that much. She's just another type of celebrity that is coming forward saying that, woe is me and woe is everyone else. We really need to do this and we need to do that. And also, I hate Trump. And that's really what it all boils down to is, her hatred for Trump and everyone else's hatred for Trump because he's a white guy, right? I mean, we really need to just grow up. We all need to grow up. I think that we have all become just kind of little babies, and we just constantly need to have our ego stroked all the time. We constantly have to be told that it's going to be okay, and we constantly have to, have everyone say that yes, you're a good person and all that stuff. You don't really need someone to tell you that. You need to have some self-confidence, and you need to have a little bit of integrity, and you need to have some decency. Once everyone actually gets that message and we all start doing that with one another, we'll have that utopia that all these people are talking about. But this is not the way forward. We are not going to have a utopia this way. That's not what's going to happen. Now, Chelsae did really talk about a lot of stuff. She mainly talked about she talked about Trump and also the discrimination that black men and women they face in the justice system. Now, I could point to a lot of different statistics, and I will get into that. But her story, where she got arrested multiple times, right? I don't know if you caught that or not, but she was 16 years old. She didn't say that she was 16 years old. She did. She conveniently left that out. Of course, she didn't even really let anyone know what happened, really, because was Tayshaun 18? I mean, because when you look at Tayshaun in the documentary, he looks a little bit older than her. So maybe he was 18 when they got arrested, when he got arrested, and they let her go. They're not going to arrest a 16-year-old girl, especially when she probably didn't have the drugs on her. So she's rolling around with Tayshaun, right? They're in love. They're young. She's 16. I'm going to assume that he's 18. He might have not been. I don't know. But that was conveniently left out, and I think there's a reason why. So he was probably 18. She was 16. At least that's what she says. And he had some weed on him. Of course, it's always a little amount. It was always a dime bag, right? It's always a dime bag. I've only had one beer, you say to the officer as they pull you over for drunk driving. But I digress. It was unfortunate that, he was arrested multiple times, but we have to really look at the facts here. She was not just a white girl. She was an underage girl. They're not going to arrest her simply for being in the presence. That simply happens all the time. Just watch an episode of Cops, and if I'm wrong, just prove me wrong. Most of the time, if there's minors in the car, they're not going to arrest the minors. They're going to go after the adult. Period. End of story. That is standard operating procedure. Her story is bunk, okay? And she's using it conveniently to try to convince us that all of this stuff is going on, that everyone's hair is on fire and racism is just rampant. And it's all because of Trump. It's all his fault. That's why this is all going on right now. Well, we go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? Actually, we're not going to go there yet. We are going to go to the Bureau of Justice, not the labor statistics. Now, this was only up till 2015. I couldn't find anything up to 2018. Of course, I was just doing a quick search here. But as we see, and I'm not even going to throw Obama under the bus here, because when Obama took over, we see here back in 2008, all this stuff started to drop. And it's still continuing to drop as of right now. If we look at some of the other information here, let me see. I was looking at the Bureau of, another thing for the Bureau of Justice Statistics. I don't really have that up. I just decided to pull this up because it was more relevant. But in fact, over the last, 5, 6 years, 7 years or so, and this includes Obama, that that crime across the board is actually going down. Arrest for larceny, burglary, rape, all of those types of offenses are going down across the board. So you can give an applause to Obama for that. You can give an applause to Trump for continuing to do that. Yes, absolutely. Trump has done a lot for the African American community. Trump has done a lot for everyone. He is not the boogeyman that you think he is. You might not like him, but I would suggest looking at some of his policies. You might not agree with every single policy. I voted for Obama twice because I thought he was a great guy. I thought he had some really good ideas. I used to be a Democrat, but after 7 years of Obama, I had enough. I decided to get out. I jumped ship and I went to Trump. And the fact is that I didn't even want Trump to begin with. I wanted Rand Paul. I am a constitutionalist. I am a libertarian. Trump was not that high on my list at the time. Rand Paul was. Ron Paul before him was. I wanted both of those. But I don't think the world's ready for that type of leader. I don't think the world's ready for a strict libertarian. I think that having the government completely out of our lives is a thought that's too scary for both Republicans and Democrats. And this is something that I'm going to talk about a lot in a lot of episodes, that the idea of freedom is scary for a lot of people. Just like the idea of being happy is scary for a lot of people as well. We have this idea that being miserable is something that is kind of a status quo. It's something that we really don't think about because we expect it to happen. We expect it to happen with every single president, that something is going to go wrong. We're going to be in war. There's going to be horrible things that are going to happen, but it's not as bad as you really think it is. So that's the arrest, right? The arrests are on their way down. Of course, in this Pew Research, Pew Social Trends from the Pew Research Center here, obviously race in America 2019 is at the forefront of everyone's mind. And this is something that everyone's thinking about. I think about it too, but not as much as some. I'm forced to think about it because it's in the news all the time and I'm forced to talk about it. I don't mind talking about it, but I think that it's something that we shouldn't really focus on. I don't care what color you are. What kind of person are you? Really, what kind of person are you? What have you done for other people in your life? And it has nothing to do. You can go out there and you can help people, and it doesn't really matter. You can go and be an independent. You can start your own business. You can go to school. You can do all these things. Stay out of trouble. You know, when I was listening to CNN, that CNN clip and the interview with Chelsae Handler, she admitted, yes, he was black. He was doing the wrong thing. You know, he had drugs on him 3 times. He didn't learn his lesson, so he got arrested 3 times. So the first and second time he got arrested, he didn't learn his lesson. That's why as far as the whole marijuana thing, yeah, I think it's terrible. I think a lot of people got in trouble. I got in trouble myself for it. I had the book thrown at me for a first offense for marijuana. All right, so I don't want to hear all this, it's just the black people or people of color that's getting the book thrown at them on the first offense. And I will tell you this right now, before you leave some negative comment or something on here, because I don't understand. My mother was dying of cancer in 2015. I went to California and got a whole bunch of marijuana, marijuana for oil for her. My wife and I got pulled over in Texas, right? We were profiled because I had long hair. I had tattoos. I still have tattoos. And we looked like drug dealers, right? We were profiled. We were white people. And they didn't ask any questions. They just searched all of our stuff. And they found it. We weren't even trying to hide it, We were stupid. But I was doing it because I wanted to save my mom's life. I wasn't doing it trying to make a profit or to sell it to someone. But the fact of the matter is they threw us in jail. We didn't even get a phone call for 3 days, people. Where's my white privilege there? I don't know. I really don't know where it is. And that's when I became a Republican. Because up until then, I felt that, yes, because of my white privilege, that I had way more opportunities. And I had I obviously just... I had everything in front of me while other people didn't, and that's simply not true. Cops will throw the book at you. They will throw you in jail no matter what color you are. It doesn't really matter. Now, are some things that out there, there's anomalies that happens? Absolutely. But we need to stop blowing those out of proportion as if it was somehow indicative of how everything goes. That is not true. When my wife and I went to court, they threw the book at us. Did we go to prison? No. But we got a lot of time. It took us years to pay that off. Years to get through all the community service. Years and years. We just recently got done with it. This was back in 2015. So, I can speak from personal experience that this is not really happening, at least not on a wide scale that everyone's trying to make it seem. I'm going to get off my soapbox here, but yeah, here race in America is at the forefront of everyone. Blacks are particularly gloomy. This is from Pew Research. Blacks are particularly gloomy about the country's racial progress. More than 8 in 10 black adults say the legacy of slavery affects the position of black people in America today, including 59% who say it affects us a great deal. About 8 in 10 blacks, 78%, say the country has gone far enough when it comes to giving black people equal rights with whites. 78%, that's not too bad, right? And fully has say it's unlikely that the country will eventually achieve racial equality. So those are conflicting types of statistics. Of course, Pew Research is full of conflicting statistics. Of course, Pew told us that Clinton was going to be the next president, along with a lot of research polls and so forth that was done back in 2015 and 16. So where we are as a nation, I think that we have grown greatly as a nation. I don't think that race is such a huge deal anymore. It's only as big of a deal as we make it. Are there bad black people? Are there bad white people? Are there bad? There's just bad people, period. And there's great people. We are all one race, people. I know you heard it. I know it's trite, but we're all one race. We are the human race. And we need to stop this nonsense, because all it is just making people upset. And it is further diluting when actual things of racism actually happen, because it's getting lost in the noise. So we can't actually address that when it really does happen. If everything is racist, then nothing is racist. I mean, really think about that, because it seems like everything's offensive, everything is politically incorrect, and everything is racist. And I mean, it's just most people, and it's not just white people, most people are getting really tired of this. So that was Pew. Of course, Rasmussen, which is another type of polling agency. This was back from June 17, 2019. Voters say Trump better for blacks than Obama, but more is needed. The new Rasmussen reports national telephones and online surveys find that 33% of likely U.S. voters think life for young black Americans has gotten better since Trump's election. Slightly more, 36% life is worse for young blacks now, while 22% say it's the same. So that's about, 55% in favor? Or at the median average, I guess. I think this whole idea that the government should be responsible for your future is the most destructive idea that is being displayed and forwarded by the media and the Democrats out there. The government is not and has never been there to make sure that you make it to the next level. Okay, if you want to climb that rung and that ladder, by all means, go ahead, but stop relying on the government to be there for you, to pat you on the butt and make sure that you get a boost up. We all are the same as far as human beings. We all have the same red blood that's going through us, and we have to work towards being decent human beings and being better to one another, not only in the workplace, but also in every facet of our lives. That's what we have to work on. We have to stop relying on the government to try to right any of the societal ills that either are real or perceived. The government is not there to do that. The government is here to protect the nation from foreign threats, and that is it. That is it, my friends. That is the only reason that a government exists, and to provide support for the state governments, and that's it. Now, the state government has different programs and stuff like that to help the citizens, yeah, because we are an altruistic type of society. These are the things that we do. But it is not incumbent upon the government to make sure that you get somewhere. Now, I'm a minimalist. I don't believe that. I believe that the whole, our society is so inundated with this type of consumerism, materialism, that it is making people insane, because they believe that their lives suck, and they really have to beat the Johnsons. In other words, they have to get to the next rung, and if they don't, then they feel bad about themselves, and the cycle continues. It goes around and around and around. That's why I became a minimalist. I only have things in my life that actually add value to it. I shun and I reject everything else. I don't even really watch TV anymore. Now, I do read the news and stuff like that, but I typically try to stay away from the mass media and a lot of the stuff that's out there in the entertainment sphere. It just doesn't do anything for me anymore. It really doesn't. So that's what Rasmussen has to say about the entire thing. Now, of course, we go to the labor force statistics. Now, this whole thing about Trump and how he's bad for the African American and just anyone of color, I guess. And I really, you know what? I hate saying that. I hate saying people of color. I hate saying black people or white people. You know, it's just that just further types of solidifies the divide between everyone. And that is exactly what the progressive left wants you to do. They want you to make the distinctions at all times. They want everything to be equal, right? But they also want you to make the distinctions at all times between all peoples, all races, all religions, all creeds. It's pretty much the antithesis of the Constitution, of the Declaration of Independence. This is like the Antichrist of the Bible, okay? And I'm not trying to drag religion into this because, you know, that's not something I really want to do. I don't think it has any place in a political discussion, but a lot of Democrats out there want to say that, but I digress. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent right now. But like I said, this is a progressive, regressive types of backwards actions that is going to turn this country inside out and divide it. And it's only going to get worse. I've said it over and over and over again. But, you know, we commonly, you know, we hear from Martin Luther King's niece very commonly, and she doesn't really go on CNN too much. She's usually on Fox News. Now, I watch all kinds of media, but I really haven't seen her on CNN or MSNBC, NBC, CBS, or anything like that. But she's constantly, you know, kind of, trying to hound, you know, trying to drive home this point that Trump is not bad for the minority populations. He's not bad for them. You know, he's good for all of us. He's doing the best he can. He's not a bad guy, okay? He's not the greatest. He's not a best upstanding moral character. But since when has the Democrats and the progressive left been really concerned about morality? I mean, answer me that. I don't understand that one. That one's kind of weird. Every time they want to bring up morality, that's just something that just kind of just throws me off. I'm like, wait, why are you talking about this? But there are two main things I really want to discuss here, and then I'll go ahead and just end this right now because I'm almost at 30 minutes. But Trump has done so much for, you know, the black and African American. We're just going to talk about that subsect of the population. That he has done a lot for them. Okay. And the statistics actually show that, and it's been hounded over and over, ever since 2009 all the way to 2019. Of course, the unemployment rate peaked at around 2011 or so. It looks like between maybe 2010, by this chart, and it's actually hit all-time lows here in the present. Halfway through 2019, and then we can see the actual numbers here. 2019, it looks like it peaked at around 15.8, 16.1, and then we're at 5.5. That's the lowest it's ever been. Now, believe in history. So, I mean, you can see the dichotomy there between Obama and Trump as far as the employment rate goes. I'm not saying that Obama was a terrible person. I don't think Obama was the Antichrist. I don't believe in all that other kind of stuff that even Trump was talking about when it came to Obama. I support Obama for 2 terms. At the end of his second term, I completely just turned my back on him. That might happen with Trump if he decides to start screwing up in his second term. That could very well happen. I could go back to either a Democrat or I could go to an independent. Hopefully, we have an independent libertarian by then. That would be wonderful. That would actually be really true progress. If we can get off this dichotomy of Republican versus Democrat, that would be great, because I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Most people are sick of talking about that. So the second thing here is the First Step Act. Of course, this First Step Act went into back in 2018, and Kim Kardashian and her husband actually had a big role in that. I don't know if you knew about that or not. But this was really good for for everyone, not just the African Americans and the Black Americans. Just Americans in general. What is the right way to say it? African Americans, Black Americans. You see, I don't even know, because I just don't think like that. I look at everyone as human beings, and that's what you need to do. Everyone needs to start doing that. I mean, it's 2019, right? So this First Step Act was really good for people that were in prison for nonviolent offenses, especially a lot of the people that were arrested and incarcerated and put in prison under Bill Clinton. Of course, Bill Clinton, when he was president, the incarceration rate went through the roof. And we look back here on the arrest estimates, just for blacks for all offenses here back in looks like 1997, I think it actually peaked. That was, you know, right in the middle of Bill Clinton's term, presidency. So he was really tough on crime, right? And he was responsible for a lot of African Americans being thrown in prison for a lot of nonviolent offenses, drug offenses, and so forth. I don't think anyone should be in prison for drugs. Now, if you're smuggling millions of tons of cocaine over yeah, you should be in prison. You're dangerous. You're dangerous. You need to be in prison. El Chapo needs to be in prison. He should probably be executed because there's no telling how many people he's killed. I mean, they should take that dude out. That is one bad dude right there. But people who have dime bags, an ounce, a pound, whatever, of any kind of drug, they shouldn't be in prison, period. That is a waste of taxpayer money. They should be rehabilitated. You know, the reason why a lot of people sell drugs is because they don't feel like they have a lot of opportunity. I agree with that. You know, you could also argue that, you know, it's a really easy, quick way to make money too, you know. But we don't know each specific reason for everybody on why they do these things. But the First Step Act helped to get a lot of people have their sentence commuted, help them get out of prison, help them rehabilitate them and get them back into society so they can have a normal life of a normal human being with all the negative stigma. I still have negative stigma. I'll have a record until I'm probably 50 years old. I can't get that stuff off my record. I have a negative stigma for me as well. I didn't go to prison, thank God. But I had the book thrown at me. It's not like did they just let me go. I had to get a really good lawyer, and I had to spend all my money on that. I went completely bankrupt. I went broke. And that was 3 or 4 years ago, you know. I mean, this is just something that happens to a lot of people regardless of what your skin color is. And we really need to stop forwarding this idea that it's just because of, you know, this whole white privilege thing. That's this whole specter of white privilege. And there's no real way to actually, you know, describe it. But I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, I knew that Kim had something to do with it, but I'll play a clip here.
Did look into it, and according to the California bar, you can actually become a lawyer without going to law school.
Really?
Okay, no.
She is.
And I hear she's starting to study law. Soon she'll be one of the most successful lawyers. I hate to tell all my lawyers back there.
I don't know too much about her, so she is. She is. How do you think the prison reform got passed? Her and Kanye are the ones that put that legislation together, and Trump passed it.
Kim Kardashian West.
Well, that's great. When you have that much money, you have that much power. But it's still, prison reform helped a lot of the black community out in releasing people from prison. Wouldn't you say it's a good thing? Great. I don't have that much money. I don't have that much power.
But would you agree that's a good thing that Trump did?
I don't know that much about the bill, so.
Get the president's support and to see it come to fruition was magic.
So yeah, that's just something that I felt like was a good clip to show and to kind of round everything out. Stay tuned for the next episode here. It's been a really good pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.